Dr. Elmendorf, under the 8 years of the Clinton administration, the so-called confiscation tax rate was 39.6%. Is that correct?
That was the top tax bracket, Congressman, yes.
Right. And under this confiscation rate, approximately 20 million jobs were created in America. Is that correct?
I don't remember the number, Congressman, but it was quite a few. It was a tremendous economic boom.
Okay. And now during the 8 years of the Bush administration, which immediately followed the Clinton administration, am I correct that the so-called top confiscation rate was dropped to 35%? Is that right?
Yes, Congressman.
And we lost approximately 600,000 jobs during that 8-year period. Is that right?
I don't remember the exact number.
Okay. Now, as it relates to a statement that was made earlier by one of our colleagues who suggested that the American people looking at this hearing might come to the conclusion or be perplexed at our inability to move forward with a resolution, because I think we all agree that there's a long-term deficit and debt problem that we need to confront. I would certainly agree with the ranking member and his observation that perhaps the problem is that we've breached the procedural integrity of the budget process, that the House has passed the budget, the Senate has passed the budget, and the next step in that process is to move forward with conference committees, because the math that we should really be paying attention to preliminarily is the electoral math. And the electoral math says that we're in a divided government context, and that there are 54 Democrats and independents in the Senate, which constitute a majority. That Barack Obama did win re-election with 51% of the vote, only the second president since Eisenhower, I believe, with 2 consecutive popular vote margins to exceed 51%. We're in a divided government context. We should move forward with the integrity of the process, which is conference committees, so we can work it out and perhaps try and find common ground to move things forward. Now, you stated, I think, in your testimony that the consequences of default on the debt would be large, lasting, and very damaging. Is that correct?
I said that economists are unsure, but they could be large, lasting, and very damaging, and that's why I think it's a dangerous gamble to default on an obligation.
Right. I think you said it was a risky strategy to stop paying what the United States government owes. True?
Yes, Congressman.
Now, part of the problem with a default on the debt is that it would erode the confidence of investors in the belief that the United States has the ability to manage its economic affairs. Is that right?
Yes, Congressman.
And one of the reasons why Greece and some of the other European countries, which many of our colleagues love to allude to, find themselves in the situation they're in right now is because there was an erosion in confidence in the ability for those countries like Greece to manage their economic affairs, correct?
Yes, Congressman.
And one of the consequences of that erosion of confidence is that the rates on our debt moving forward would increase perhaps quite significantly. Is that right?
They could, Congressman, yes.
And so an erosion of confidence then leads to an increase quite possibly in our debt burden, and the increase in the debt burden worsens our long-term budget outlook. Is that right?
Yes, Congressman.
And that's part of the reason why I think it would be irresponsible to simply attempt to hold hostage the full faith and credit of the United States of America in the context of us paying our bills as we confront the need to raise our debt ceiling. And I hope that this Congress will come together and stop playing partisan politics as it relates to this very serious issue. One last question in the remaining time that I have. Would it be fair to say that an increase in the minimum wage largely benefits low-wage workers?
Yes, Congressman.
And low-wage workers are most likely to immediately spend the increased income. Is that right?
I think that's right, Congressman. But people who work and receive a higher wage would have higher income that they'd be likely to spend. As you know, there are higher minimum wage can also reduce the number of people who have jobs.
Right. Now, that increased spending and increased consumer demand would ultimately lead to economic growth. Is that correct?
Under the current economic conditions, an increase in the demand for goods and services would boost output and boost the number of jobs.
Okay, thanks. I yield back.